What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, King Kaif, back in your life with another NBA basketball breakdown and prediction videos. So let's get right into it with our basketball breakdown, as always. Starting off with the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Detroit Pistons 150-130 behind Giannis' 29 points and 12 rebounds. Great win from them. I told you he'd be back. I told you they'd dominate. And they did what I said they would, and they dominated. Great win from them, and we move on. In our next game, we have the Portland Trail Blazers defeating the San Antonio Spurs 147-127 behind Damian Lillard's 37 points, 12 assists, and 7 three-point makes. I said they'd have a revenge game because of what happened with the Lakers. It was a terrible, terrible loss for them, but they bounced back in a big way and get back in the win column. In our next game, we have the Houston Rockets beating the Minnesota Timberwolves 119-114. Jalen Green had 42 points, 4 assists, and 6 three-point makes. Great win from him. A lot of people say he's just an offensive guy, he's just a mixtape guy, and you could agree, but, his basketball is at least fun to watch for the crowd. Could get better at dunks, though. We're talking about that dunk contest. But yeah, great win from them, and it doesn't really do anything for them. They're 11-36. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they have a good young core behind them with Şengün and Jalen Green. In our next, we have the Chicago Bulls beating the Atlanta Hawks 111-100 behind DeMar DeRozan's 26 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Great win from them. Atlanta is still on the downfall. So if I ever have to pick in the future, who am I picking? I'm picking the Bulls over Atlanta. And I'm not picking Atlanta because they're just declining terribly. They got to make some trades there. They got to trade John Collins at this point and get someone better. In our next game, we have the Charlotte Hornets being defeated by the Utah Jazz 120-102. Lauri Markkanen had 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 three-point makes. They're keeping a steady pace. They're right at the 500 mark. It's the Charlotte Hornets. If you don't beat them, that's just sad. In our next game, we have the Sacramento Kings beating the Memphis Grizzlies 133-100 behind Trey Lyles, 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 three-point makes. They shot the lights out to begin this game, and then Memphis really never got back into it after that. I said that Sacramento would win this game. I was not under the impression that Ja or Steven Adams wasn't going to play, but they weren't. But I still believe with Ja Morant and Steven Adams that the Sacramento Kings are just, on a burner. So they've just been on one, and I don't think they're going to be beaten anytime soon. In our next game, we have the Boston Celtics being defeated by their kryptonite, apparently, in the Orlando Magic 113-98 behind Paolo Banchero's 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 three-point makes. Man, I guess Orlando is, like I said, Boston's kryptonite. They just can't get by them. I think that was their season series, too. I think it was their last game. So in their season series, they swept them. And the Magic are going to be a good young team in the future for sure. Big old contender over there. And good to see Jonathan Isaac on the floor. Still very impressive on the defensive end and still gotten probably better on the offensive end. So we'll see how he comes along. And now it's into our predictions for this Tuesday night slate of games. Our 7-game slate, I do believe. So let's get right on into it. We have the Nuggets versus the Pelicans. I'm going to take the Nuggets here. Pelicans still don't have their players back. Brandon Ingram, babying his little foot bruise, his little toe bruise. Get out on the floor and play, man. We want to see you play. We know you can play. You're one of the, up-and-coming best offensive players in basketball. What are you doing? You get paid to play basketball. Play basketball. Zion, I get Zion more because of his weight and just his tendencies to get injured. He's an injury-prone type of guy, but Brandon Ingram, come on, buddy, get back out there and play. For now, I take the Nuggets, though. They're just a better team all around. In our next game, we have the Clippers and the Lakers classic rivalry here, classic game. I'm gonna take the Clippers here. Okay, I'm gonna take the Clippers here. I just think they're better than the Lakers. The Lakers did make a trade, though, if we're going to talk trade rumors. Rui Hachimura is now a Los Angeles Laker, and Kendrick Nunn and 2 second-round picks are going to Washington. For the Lakers, they get bigger, which is better, I guess. So, they have more size and stuff like that. Rui Hachimura is no bad player by any means. He's bigger than Kendrick Nunn, and at this point, he's shooting better than Kendrick Nunn. So it's a good win from them, but let's see if he can prove himself on the Lakers. Because when it comes to, being in the bright lights of LA, it's a lot of people crumble. We'll see how Rui Hachimura fares if he does play tonight. I don't know if he will. I believe he won't, but if he does, we'll see how he plays. In our next game, we have the Wizards. Just talking about them. We have the Wizards taking on the Mavericks. Mavericks are going to get this win. I think it'll be closer. Honestly, if Bradley Beal plays and, Kyle Kuzma's on his P's and Q's, I think that it'll be a closer game, but I think the Mavericks will get it done behind a big game from Luka Doncic. I'll say he has 35 or 45 points. They're going to want to get back in the win column. In our next game, we have the Charlotte Hornets taking on the Phoenix Suns. I'll take the Phoenix Suns here. I just believe now that they're closer to whole than they have been all year. They have Chris Paul back, which he can dish and be their offensive starter and stuff like that, and get their assists up and everything. And he's just the engine that makes the thing go. And I would say Devin Booker's the fuel in the car. So they just got to get him back, and once they get Devin Booker back, it'll be a better story from them. I don't think they go far because their camaraderie just seems to be off, but they surely can get past the Hornets tonight. No offense to the Hornets, they're just not a good basketball team. They don't train, apparently. They don't do anything. They just kind of come into the gym like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, which is just a terrible way to manage. They gotta get a new freaking head coach that'll distill some hard heads in there. But on to our next game. I digress. We move on to the Bulls taking on the Pacers. The Bulls coming off a back-to-back. I'm going to take the fresh Pacers here. They're at home. They love to run up and down the court. I think the Bulls will be a little bit tired. We'll see how that fares. I don't know if Tyrese Halliburton is back yet. If he is, I think it'll be a blowout. If he's not, it'll be a closer game. I want to see Tyrese Halliburton out there, though. Him dishing out those assists, those saucy assists. Him shooting those threes that you just don't think are going to go in. His form doesn't look natural, but hey, it works for him, and those jumpers are wet. Let me tell you something. He's a good shooter. In our next game, possibly the game of the night, I would still say the Clippers and Lakers, just because those are always close games, but this is probably the real game of the night with Celtics Heat. I'm going to take the Celtics here. They always seem to lose to Orlando and then bounce back. It's like they go lose to Orlando, bounce back. So they lost to Orlando. So I think they're going to bounce back. I think if Jason Tatum plays, he did go out with a little bit of an injury. If he plays, they win. And even if he doesn't, I think Jaylen Brown steps up. Because if you're new around here, I've been saying this since the beginning. I think Jaylen Brown is the better all-around player. Call me crazy if you will. We can debate in the comments. I always have a good debate about any of these topics. But I think they get it done. If Tatum plays, he has a big game. If he doesn't, Jaylen Brown has a bigger game than he would have had if Jason Tatum's on the floor, because they have to distribute between the two of them. So it'll be easier for Jaylen Brown to get his offense off because it would be running through him. But the Heat is no slouch. They've been playing better basketball as of late, but I just don't think they'll have enough to deal with the Celtics. What's good is it's at home for the Heat, so they have a shot. In our next and our final game of this Tuesday night's headers, we have the Cavaliers taking on the New York Knicks. New York Knicks at home. Does that really matter? No, because usually they just get up big and then lose even bigger. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Cavs win this one. I think it'll be close because it is in the Garden, but I think the Knicks will take the lead and then just get blown out right from the word go after they take that lead and the Cavs take it back. They will not give it up again. I think Darius Garland will have a big game along with Evan Mobley. For the Knicks, it'll be up to Julius Randle and Derek Brunson to get it done. But as always, those are my picks for our Tuesday night slated games. And like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And it's been your boy King Kife. I'm out. Peace.